Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia. My little sidekick in training is Simba, and on today's video we are going to be using a wood round. I got this one on clearance for 50 cents. I believe I got this one at Michael's. It's been a while so I'm not sure, but they are not expensive, and this one is 12 inches in diameter, and we are going to use the pancake method to make a wreath. This is going to be super fun. I haven't made one using the wood round, but you know what? I think we're going to make a gorgeous wreath. My little wiggle worm over here. Oh my goodness. Before we get started on this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you are notified every time I post a video. Now, let's get started. Here are the supplies we're going to need for a pancake wreath. Starting with some 10-inch Deco Mesh. The roll I have here is 10 inches by 10 yards. You're going to need some ribbon. I recommend getting something bigger and smaller, as in 2.5-inch ribbon and 1.5-inch ribbon, so you can overlay them beautifully. All the ribbon that I'm going to be using for this wreath is wired ribbon. For decor, I'm going to be using some sunflowers. Then you're going to need some pipe cleaners. The wooden wreath form that I'm going to be using has 8 holes in it, and it's 12 inches or 30.4 centimeters. I'm going to start by preparing my wreath base, and since we're not using our 14-inch metal wreath form, we're going to be doing this a little differently. I'm going to go into each of the holes, and what I'm going to do is, well, first find my center, and then I'm going to twist either on the inside or the outside every other. So if this one's going in, this next one is going out, and I'm going to twist it on the very outside. You want that space for one to be going on the inside, the other one going on the outside. I'm done attaching my pipe cleaners. I have 4 pipe cleaners facing in and 4 pipe cleaners facing out. For a 14-inch metal wreath form, I usually cut my Deco Mesh into 30-inch strips, but because instead of 12 pieces, we're only going to need 8, we can make these bigger. My cutting mat is 24 inches, so I'm going to add 10.5 because we have this little half right here. So that's going to make it 35-inch strips. And since I know I have a lot to spare, I'm going to be very generous, and that way it's going to make for a fuller wreath. Now I'm just going to roll it and set it to the side. So you are going to need 8 pieces of Deco Mesh strips, 30 inches or longer to your liking. For the ribbon, I'm going to be making 7 ribbon bundles and 1 bow. So I'm going to need 7 of the 2.5-inch ribbon and 7 pieces of the 1.5-inch ribbon. And I'm going to be cutting these into 12-inch strips. I'm going to measure my 12 inches and start zigzagging until I get 7 pieces. Now that I have my 7 strips, I'm going to cut dovetails, fold the sides in half, and cut out a little triangle, making sure that the ends are cut also. And we have our dovetails along with cutting our ribbon. Grabbing my green ribbon, and this is like a darker green. It's such a beautiful fall green. I'm going to be doing the same thing, and of course 12 inches in length. Dovetails on the green ribbon also. While Simba is getting acquainted with the pipe cleaners, let's talk about how we're going to attach the Deco Mesh to our wreath form. We're going to attach the Deco Mesh, then our ribbon bundles, and then we're going to work on our inside row, attach our Deco Mesh, our ribbon bundles, and make 1 bow. If you have a Deco Mesh that has a clear center, it's easy to make a ruffle. If you do not, use a cutting mat or a measuring mat, and we're going to unroll so that my ending is rolling onto the table. As you can see, the curl right here. And I'm going to make about an inch, 1.5 inch little fold at the end. This is just to prevent fraying a little bit. I got my 10-inch square, which is this lighter one right here. I have the center 4 squares, and I'm just going to start gathering. When I come to the end, I'm going to do the same thing, about an inch, possibly inch and a half, fold it and just bring it together. And we have our first beautiful ruffle. Let's attach our ruffle, and I'm going to make 2 really beautiful twists. Now we're going to take the endings and I'm going to overlap them. And the reason I do that is to give it that extra sense of security when it comes to fraying, because besides us folding it, now it's going to be in a little wave, so it's going to get tucked in even more. Let's make the next ruffle. Fold at the end and start gathering. 2 tight twists, then we're going to take the endings and overlap them. I'm done attaching all the Deco Mesh and ribbon to the outside. Now we're going to work on the inside row. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pipe cleaners and point them up, and then we can start making our ruffles once again, and we're going to do it the same way we did it for the outside row. Little inch, and we're gathering. After we attach it, we're going to see that a lot of this space that was kind of bare or sparse is going to get covered. Of course, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take both endings and overlap on both sides. When I'm done with that, I'm just going to move my Deco Mesh around how I want, and then I'm going to attach the rest of the Deco Mesh. Now it's time to finish up with my bundles. I'm going to attach just like I attached the other ones. Find my center, make a little V, and attach. In this fourth one, we're going to make the bow, but before we do, we're going to grab our sunflowers, and I'm just simply going to take them off the stems. The sunflowers are going to go in the middle of our little bundles. And I'm not going to be cutting this part right here. That's just going to sit down in our little center. So lots of hot glue. And right in the center. I'm going to attach 7 of these to the 7 ribbon bundles. With the attachment of the flowers, I feel like our wreath is starting to stand out a little bit. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Now it's time to make our bow and attach it to our 8th pipe cleaner. This section right here is kind of on the empty side, so I'm going to work in the tail for the bow right in. Measure first, and I'm going to make a simple bow, and what we're going to do is simple bow with some overlapping. Give it a little slack. You can always cut it shorter. When you feel like your bow is where it's supposed to be, grab a clamp and clamp it, because I want to do a few more layers. Now let's cut the tail. I'm going to bring in our green bow. To make sure your sides are balanced, what you want to do is hold where you crisscrossed it. This part right here, just stretch it out. This is your center. Bring it in to the back, just like this. And then we're going to attach it with our clamp. Mustard yellow color, so pretty. Going to make sure the tail is the same size, but I'm going to make the bow itself just a little bit smaller so it stands out. In the center, I'm just going to wiggle it together, and I'm going to use the pipe cleaner we already have. Let's do a few twists and twist it back. When you feel like it's secured in place, that's when you start poofing out your loops. It is obvious that these are just a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut a little shorter. Same thing on this side. And then I'm going to make dovetails. For my bow loops, I'm going to take my biggest ones, the 2.5 inch, I'm going to put it on top. You could still see the design really nicely at the bottom. Then my next green ones, I'm going to put in between. So it's going to just give it that little balance. And I think it's super, super cute. For the tails, you can either leave them like this or make little banner tails. I can't help it. I feel like I really want to do a banner tail. So let's do it together. I'm going to actually layer these together because I want everything to get balanced out. Everything's cut to the same length, 1/3 from the bottom, and I'm going to take the whole thing and fold in and pinch on all the places where there's wire. Then I'm going to hold it and just twist it back, just like this. And that's what's going to make our little banner tail, and I'm going to leave it as it is. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I just feel like it just gives life to the tails. I think it's really pretty when you do banner tails. For the center, we're going to keep it simple. I just felt like there's a lot of sunflowers everywhere, including the ribbon. So I'm going to grab one of these. You could get these in a little floral bundle at the Dollar Tree. Remove it from the stem. And I'm just going to hot glue it right in the middle of that bow. That bow is deep, so that's why I went for something that was a circle or a sphere, and it kind of stands out. I think it looks so super cute. To hang this wreath, I'm just going to use a jute cord and wrap it around our actual wreath form and just give it a few knots in the back, just like that. And as always, I'm going to send the knot towards the inside of the wreath. I don't think this is a messy type of wreath, so I'm not going to be covering the back, and I'm ready to display. And of course, don't forget to go around and straighten out your ribbon so that all the tips are pointing out. Everything is beautifully laid out. What a gorgeous wreath, and it was so much fun to make one roll of Deco Mesh. It's not very big and it's not very small. It's a beautiful medium size, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. Did you guys notice Simba's bow? Yes. You're doing good, Simba. I mean, it takes a little bit, but you are going to make a super good assistant. But anyways, how did you think the wreath came out? I thought it was so simple, so beautiful, so easy. Simple little wreath base, but we still need a wreath that can go in between your door and your storm door. If you have those, fits perfectly. If not, these can go anywhere. The whole sunflower theme was so beautiful and perfect for this wreath, and I hope you give it a try. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing and becoming a part of this family. We love making wreaths here, and we love supporting each other. So go ahead, click the subscribe button, click the little bell so that you are aware every time I post a little video. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in our next video. Bye bye, my friends. Mwah!